All right, my beautiful people, man. Good evening to you. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. We'll get started in just a minute here as we're going live on Facebook and also YouTube for the New Black Wall Street Book Club. And the book that we're having a good time going through now and picked up a little bit is Black Fortunes, the story of the first six African Americans to escape slavery and become millionaires. So we can continue along on our journey to this book. While you guys are connecting, man, go ahead, hit the like button, the share button. I'll do the same here so we can let people know that we're here and we can get this show on the road, right? Hit the like button, hit the like button and the share button, the heart button, all that good stuff. And then we'll get this thing going in just a second. I've got to go ahead and share this thing out to one or two places and we'll get this show on the road, man. How you guys doing, by the way, this evening? Hopefully you had a wonderful day, a terrific Tuesday, I believe what today is. So hopefully Tuesday has been good to you, or you've been good to Tuesday. And you know what I say, guys. Hopefully today is the day that you made more money than you spent. And that's a surefire way to know that you're on your way to wealth, that you make more money in a day than you spend in a day. And if you do that every day, then you're going to be rich. But you know, most people don't discipline themselves enough to do that, but hopefully you do. So go ahead and let us know. Good evening to you, Miss Vivian. Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to give Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram a little bit more time, about 2 more minutes here to allow people to let people know that we're here, and then we'll get this show on the road, man. While you guys connecting, man, let us know where you're connecting from, what city, what state. I had a phenomenal day today, another productive day, another banger. While we're out here continuing to progress, I feel like I'm in the zone, man. I'm just in the zone. I'm in a money-making zone. That's what I'm in a money-making zone. And feeling pretty good about that. And I'm going to ride the wave, man. Remind me of Isaac when he said that, hey, there are going to be 7 years of plenty. And in those years of plenty, I want you to save, want you to store up, because after the plenty comes the famine. And so let's not kid ourselves. When you get in that zone, that's a time for you to make as much as you can and also save some as well, to put some away, for the famine, the rainy day. So let's be wise. When we're in the good times, when we got the fat going on in our lives, be wise, because we know lean times are sure to follow. That's correct, man. It is a cycle that this thing called the world goes through. Okay. Well, guys, hey, we want to get this show on the road, man. I don't want to take up too much time. We're going to get right into this thing, man. I'm just super excited. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next in the story. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. So let's go and get this show on the road, man. New Black Wall Street Book Club. Y'all know what time it is, man. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
New Black Wall Street Book Club. Evan Jefferson, brother, much love. Educating, elevating, because in knowledge is the power and we'll never give it up. Literature that's for the masses. Where to put your money down, now how to watch your assets. Yeah, uplifting others is a passion. My brother Evan, he will turn it into action. New Black Wall Street Book Club. You should come read with us. Yeah, we comprehend and discuss. If we all just come together, there's no limit for us. Here comes your host, New Black Wall Street. Evan, take it away. New Black Wall Street Book Club.
All right, good evening to you, billionaires. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight on the New Black Wall Street Book Club, where Black folk do read. You put in the book, we absolutely will find it. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified financial educator and CEO of ERGJ Enterprises, ERGJ Black Bazaar, and international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. That's right. The Black Billionaires Club is the study of Black wealth. It's the study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today and how they built their wealth. And I just truly believe that if you want to be wealthy, by the way, if you do, I recommend that you study wealthy people. Well, you can begin that study by picking up the book. Go to the website, theblackbillionairesclub.com. That's right, theblackbillionairesclub.com, and pick up your copy today. You'll find that link in the description above or below. Pick up your copy or your hard copy, your ebook. You can also get it in French. We have it available in French in the ebook and the audio book. Okay, so you can pick up your copy of the Black Billionaires Club here today. Well, we want to say thank you so much to our sponsor here tonight for the New Black Wall Street Book Club, which is ERGJ Black Bazaar, the Afrocentric marketplace that specializes in Afrocentric home decor, personal care products, and also Black art-inspired gifts. Go ahead and check them out, man. They say that once you shop Black, you never go back. That's right. Once you shop Black, you never go back. Check them out at www.ergjblackbazaar.com, www.ergjblackbazaar.com. Well, my beautiful people, we're going to get right into this thing here tonight in New Black Wall Street Book Club, where Black folk do read. And we're going to start with our daily motivation for African-American success. That's right, daily motivation for African-American success from none other than my main man, Mr. Dennis P. Kimbro. Well, tonight's title is the Discover card. Everybody put it down slow, hashtag Discover. The Discover card. And our quote tonight comes from Simon Estes, the opera singer. Maybe it's Simon, I don't know. Simon Estes, the opera singer, who says this, and I quote, "The person who is self-centered is off-centered." The person who is self-centered is off-centered. And here's our passage of the day. Let's figure out what we got, how he's going to motivate us here today. Let's read. It's no secret that business is always on the prowl for new money. Many times it is found in our community. Everyone wants to know how we, Black Americans, spend our money. Ken Smichael, publisher of Target Market News, says, with the introduction of more and more products specifically geared to African Americans, it's clear that Madison Avenue recognizes the growing importance of this segment of the population. Madison Avenue is a power that has dictated our lifestyle to a great extent. Provocative copy and images advertise and encourage our buying. We're constantly bombarded with messages telling us that in order to amount to anything, we have to dine at the right places or the right restaurants, drink the right beverage, drive the right car, wear the right clothes, live in the right house, and shop in the right stores. If we don't, then we're missing out on life. We've made names like Gucci and Mercedes, Fendi, Nike, Starter, Giorgio, and Mont Blanc rich, powerful, and well-known. Madison Avenue advertisers should not be the power that dictates how we run our lives or how we feel. We need to understand that high principles and a spiritual approach to life are far more rewarding than a drive for money, property, and prestige. With this approach, we can discover a whole new life. Let me repeat that last part again. What's going on, Shotty Red Hot Pick, man? Can't wait to get you on the show. We're gonna have Shotty Hot Red Pick featured on one of our Black virtual marketplaces pretty soon. Madison Avenue advertisers should not be the power that dictates how we run our lives or how we feel. We need to understand that high principles and a spiritual approach to life are far more rewarding than a drive for money, property, and prestige. With this approach, we can discover a whole new life. And here's today's affirmation. Here's what you want to allow to take root into your subconscious. And then you can grow and develop this thing by repeating it over and over and over and over again until it brings forth a harvest into your life. So we're going to do this together, people. Repeat after me. Today, I let go of all useless status symbols. Again, what's going on, Mike the Gent? How you doing? Repeat after me. Today, I let go of all useless status symbols. Now, billionaires, got to ask you this question. If you were to let go of all useless status symbols, what would your bank account look like? Oh, y'all didn't think I was going to go there. Of course I'm going to go there. I'm the money guy. I mean, what will your bank account look like if you let go of all useless status symbols? See, the whole point of a status symbol is for you to look a certain way. Maybe even feel a certain way. I don't know, depending on your connection to it. Or if you let go of status symbols, what would your bank account begin to look like? Let's do this one more time, guys, for the people in the back, the people in the way back. This time, say it with some conviction. Repeat after me. Today, I let go of all useless status symbols. The Discover Card. Daily Motivations for African American Success by Mr. Dennis P. Kimbro. Daily Motivations for African American Success by Mr. Dennis P. Kimbro. Well, my beautiful people, man, that was our appetizer. That was just to get us ready for the meat tonight, as we're going to get into the book, Black Fortunes. Now, Black Fortunes is a story of the first 6 African Americans who escaped slavery and became millionaires. And if you missed any of our episodes previously, you want to make sure you check them out, because there's been some good, dope stuff. And you can find us on podcasts across all different platforms at the New Black Wall Street Book Club. So you want to catch a previous episode of Black Fortunes and find out what's happened through the first 3 chapters, because we're on chapter 4, I believe, tonight. Then you can just find us again across all platforms on the podcast, Google, Apple, Stitcher, whatever, Spotify, at the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Okay, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and find us, and you can listen to previous episodes, because the last episode was a banger. And I'm pretty sure as we continue to go through this book, Black Fortunes, the story of the first 6 African Americans to escape slavery and become millionaires, we're going to learn more. We're going to learn today from our history. That's right. This is Black history. That's stuff that they didn't teach us in school. The stuff that's still relevant and valid today. So let's get into this thing, man. Chapter 4 of Black Fortunes. And this is going to be chapter 4, part 1. I don't know how many parts it is in this. It's not going to be, okay, it ain't going to be long like the last, oh Lord, but it was good. Chapter 4, Robert Reed Church and the Civil War. Chapter 4, Robert Reed Church and the Civil War. Part 1. Let's read. As the shock of John Brown's raid and execution spread across the country, Captain Charles Church was doubling down on his cotton shipping business. In 1858, he bought a new steamboat. It was massive at 200 tons and had 2 engines. The interior was furnished with chases, lounges, and armchairs. It had parlors, dining rooms, kitchens, and dozens of sleeping cabins. The exterior of the boat had a wide deck large enough to accommodate thousands of bales of cotton. Captain Church christened his new boat with the Victoria and put her into service on the Mississippi River from St. Louis to New Orleans with a stopover in Memphis. The captain made Robert Reed Church a steward aboard the new vessel. The rank of steward was the highest possible for a slave. Robert was 19 years old and had spent the last 7 years on the river in the kitchens and dining rooms of Captain Church's boats to earn the promotion. During that time, he and the captain had grown fond of each other. My father gave me anything I wanted, Robert remembered, though he doesn't openly recognize me, he equivocated. Early in the year, Captain Church's other son, Charles Jr., died at the age of 10, resting the legacy of the Church name on Robert, Captain Church's bastard son and slave. So you guys see here what's happening as we get into chapter 4. He switched from last episode, we were talking about Mary Ellen Pleasant. Now we're back talking about Robert Reed Church. 1 second. All right. So, Robert Reed Church. In his work aboard the ships, Robert became acquainted with a porter named Blanche K. Bruce, who worked the docks. Like Robert, Bruce was the product of a tryst between a white slave owner and his female slave. Unlike Robert, his father had freed him and sent him to school. Bruce was stout with long brown skin and short wavy hair. In Bruce, Robert perhaps saw an alternative version of himself were he free. The two became fast friends, and Robert allowed himself to dream of freedom. Everybody put in the console, dream. He began to dream of freedom. See, a lot of things began to happen first in the dream. He began to dream of freedom. As a steward, Robert was put in charge of the ship's kitchen and dining room. The role put him on equal footing with white merchants. When the ship docked, Robert, usually accompanied by Captain Church, would meet with grocers and importers and bakers to buy meat, vegetables, fruit, liquor, bread, and cakes. His work was held to a high standard, as the meals on Captain Church's boats were legendary. The markets were searched for the best the country afforded, and the days on board were marked by one feast after another. Captain Church also set Robert up with a woman. The Victoria was often filled with young white women who were part of bridal parties. Sometimes there were as many as 5 groups of bachelorettes aboard at once. Though in general, Captain Church may have given Robert whatever he wanted, the young women who were guests on the captain's ships were off limits. Just after Robert turned 18, Captain Church arranged for Robert to have a slave marriage with a woman named Margaret Pico, who was owned by friends of his in New Orleans. Marriages arranged between people owned by slaveholders were explicitly sexual in nature, as the expectation was the coupling would result in children and produce more slaves for the owners. Captain Church often lodged with the family that owned Margaret when he spent a few days in New Orleans and at the end of the Victoria's run. After Robert and Margaret's marriage was arranged, whenever the captain and his son went to New Orleans, the captain would deposit Robert in Margaret's slave quarters, where he would spend the duration of his stay in New Orleans. In 1859, Robert and Margaret produced a daughter, whom they named Laura. In the fall of 1860, Abraham Lincoln's victory in the presidential election sent shockwaves through the South, setting off a chain of events that would lead to the Civil War. Captain Church's steamship line was entangled with slavery. His business relied on shipping cotton picked on slave plantations to ports along the Mississippi. Talk of war could be heard among the passengers as Bob walked the dining halls on board the ships during meal service. On April 19, 1961, in the first days of the Civil War, President Lincoln ordered the Union Navy to blockade all southern waterways, cutting off the South's trade with Europe and interfering with the Confederacy's transportation of troops and provisions on the waterways. Lincoln deployed 500 warships to ports in the Atlantic Ocean and on the Mississippi and Ohio rivers to destroy any Confederate ships carrying supplies. Not long after the blockade was announced, Robert was on board the Victoria when a group of Confederate sailors wearing gray military uniforms boarded the ship. The men announced that they were commandeering the ship on behalf of the Confederate Navy. My sympathies were with the Union, though I did own slaves, the captain claimed, saying he was given no choice but to turn over his ship with his black son aboard it. The Confederacy renamed his boat Confederate Steamship Victoria. Robert was conscripted to the CSS Victoria in the employ of the rebel Navy. The boat was used to transport troops and military supplies up and down the Mississippi, using its speed to outrun the blockade fleet. If a ship was caught, the Union Navy had instructions to destroy and sink in it. While Bob was working on a Confederate blockade runner, his younger brother James Wilson was conscripted into the Confederate Army as a soldier in Arkansas. Emmeline had hoped during her dying days to save her sons from slavery, and now they found themselves aiding the Confederacy in the war to protect the right of white Southerners to hold black men like themselves in bondage. Wow, what? Wait a minute. So he's on the ship for his father, and Confederates take over the ship and then made him fight with them to protect the white Southerners and hold black men like themselves in bondage. Wow. I mean, this story, this is, whew, you know what I'm doing right now. I'm just like, wow. I'm just like, I don't know. Obviously he had no choice, but I'm just like, just kill me. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I could have did it. I don't know if I could have went through all that. Just being honest. I mean, my goodness. I mean, you mean to tell me I got to fight to help you keep me as a slave? I mean, where they do that at? So that's chapter 1, guys, of Robert Reed Church and the Civil War. That's part 1 of chapter 4, Robert Reed Church and the Civil War. Robert Reed Church and the Civil War, part 2. Let's get it. So near daybreak on June 6th of 1862, as the sun was rising over the Mississippi River, Robert Reed Church was on the deck of the CSS Victoria. His ship was floating just outside the Memphis wharf, looking out onto a fleet of Confederate warships further out on the river, waiting for a coming battle. The Union Navy was approaching to invade and conquer Memphis. Robert stood on the deck with crew members and Confederate sailors, watching the approaching fleet draw closer, feeling both uncertainty and excitement. The Union warships would perhaps bring freedom if they were victorious, but they also could bring death if they sank his ship. There were 8 Confederate ships in the river guarding the city. Each of them had cotton bales stacked like bricks against all 4 sides of their superstructure to protect against light artillery. The cotton-clad flotilla was poorly armed. In total, the rebel ships had 8 cannons. The Union fleet was twice the size of the Confederate, and 17 ships were assembled in 2 battle lines moving down the river, their exteriors clad with iron, armed with guns and cannon. In another line, there were 9 ram boats with 6-foot-long knife-like structures on their end. Those beaks could puncture the hulls of the enemy ships when smashing into them, flooding and sinking them. In the early morning, more than 5,000 Memphians made their way from their home to the edge of the river to watch the battle. They stood in groups on the bluffs, 20 feet up from the fighting. The Union fleet stopped 200 feet from the city. Then the air exploded with a steady drone of gunfire. About 5:30 a.m., the Bragg came up toward us and opened fire, a Confederate soldier later reported. It was answered by us instantly. The fleets exchanged fire for more than an hour, with neither side taking much damage. By the time they were done, the river was covered in smoke and the air smelled like gunpowder. In the haze, 2 Union ram boats came charging toward the Confederate ships. They knifed at their hulls, sinking one, the CSS Colonel Lavelle, and damaged several others, puncturing their hulls. As the Confederate ships scrambled, the Union gunboats sailed into deadly range of the Confederate ships and opened fire. The Union ships shot up and breached one Confederate ship after another. On the bluff, the citizens of Memphis, who had been cheering the gunfight, fell silent. After the Union Navy sank 3 Confederate ships, the Confederate flotilla surrendered. When the battle was over, a Union ship began to close on Robert's ship, the CSS Victoria. Something inside Robert told him to flee. He followed his instinct. He walked to the edge of the boat, gathered his nerve, and jumped. With a splash, he disappeared into the Mississippi as the sun came up over Memphis. Okay. Woo, that was pretty intense. War. That was pretty intense, man. All right, so now Robert Reed Church is in the water. He's in the Mississippi. Something told him to flee, and he listened to the still small voice, and I guess he's still alive. That's good, I guess. And we're going to find out what happens, what continued to happen with Robert Reed Church as the Union. Obviously, this is during Abraham Lincoln's time. This is during the time we said there were the battle between having slaves and no slaves, and you know, Confederates weren't trying to give up their free labor, and the Union was like, no more. And the North versus the South, and there was a lot more North than there was South. There's only 13 colonies, by the way, but I guess they figured we're gonna fight to the end. And listen to this: they had their ships. Their ships were so ratchet. Their ships were so ratchet. They had that thing puffed up with cotton. Like, what is cotton gonna stop? You're going up against iron. Iron versus cotton. That should tell you already. We should have surrendered. We should have just stopped right there. We should have just gave up. We give up. Y'all got iron. We give up. No. They wanted to fight. What the hell cotton gonna do? What is that gonna say? I mean, that's like, you know what? We're gonna fight. I'm pillow fighting, and you fight with a gun. Who gonna win? Them damn Confederates, pretty silly people, aren't they? Anyway, so Robert's in the water now. Jumped. He said, "Man, I'll get the hell up on out of Dodge." Jumped on into the water, and we're gonna find out what happened. So that was part 2 of Robert Reed Church in the Civil War. Let's go on. Robert Reed Church in the Civil War, part 3. All right. In the hours after the Battle of Memphis, the river was churning and muddy. As the gun smoke cleared, scraps of wood, cotton, and metal from the destroyed Confederate ships littered the surface of the water. Downriver, Robert Reed Church paddled and kicked toward the shores of Memphis. He swam to the bank and pulled himself up onto the land. As he collected himself on solid ground, his hair stuck to his face and scalp, and his soaping wet, muddy clothing clung to his frame. What was he at that moment? A slave? A freed man? A deserter? Whom did he belong to? The Confederacy? The Union? His father? Himself? There was only one way to be sure. He collected himself and headed towards the city, dripping water as if he had just been baptized. He was unafraid of whatever awaited him. He had just survived his second flirtation with a watery grave. Slavery and brushes with death had wrung whatever fear he had been born with from his breast. In Memphis, Robert found men, both black and white, wearing blue Union uniforms and carrying guns, stationed on corners, patrolling the town. High in the sky, he could see the Union flag flying over City Hall. After the Battle of Memphis, the mayor surrendered the city to the Union, suspending slavery in the town. At that moment, Robert dared to think he was free. Everybody put in console at that moment. At that moment, Robert dared to think he was free. Now we've been following this story as he had a battle with the water before, when he basically put his father's boat on fire, and now he's back out here. Now it's a different type of fire. It's a fight. It's a war. And he is, after the war, all is said and done, he survived, right? And now he's at this moment. He's like, wait a second. This seems to be a little different around here. I might just be free. Now, I don't know what that feeling is. I mean, I got some at the moment type feelings, but when he's been, when you've been in bondage your whole life, when something has overcome you or overtaken you, in this kind of bondage, we understand it, right? We don't understand necessarily the physical bondage in this particular time, but we understand a whole bunch of other types of bondage. Sometimes our minds, keep us in bondage. Sometimes our emotions keep us in bondage. Sometimes our finances keep us in bondage. But when you've been a slave, when you've been in bondage, when you've been overtaken your whole life, and then all of a sudden, at that moment, you realize I'm free. You realize I paid off my last debt. You realize that this mental thing no longer has control over me. When you realize it at that moment, that you're free. Now, I don't know about you, but it seems to me that one of the biggest battles on this earth is the battle to be free in every area of your life. That seems to be the struggle, the struggle to be free, the struggle to break free, the struggle to be free. Now, the interesting thing is that you're actually born into this life, or this world, free. But sometimes, in some kind of way, over time, things grab hold of you. And then you must be what? Born again. Born again into free. At that moment, he dared to think he was free. Now I'm just picturing this in my head, man. This brother, white father, setting him up with a woman. That's pretty fun, though. I mean, setting him up. Hey, okay, we're going to be here. We might as well do something. Had him a daughter. Right now, we don't know what happened to the woman. We don't know what happened to the daughter yet. I mean, but this is a story about Robert Reed Church. But, man, just imagine that feeling of finally. It's been a long time coming. But finally, I'm free. Robert Reed Church and the Civil War, Part 3. Well, my beautiful people, that's actually it for Chapter 4. So we now completed Chapter 4 of Black Fortunes, which is the story of the first 6 African Americans to escape slavery and become millionaires. And I believe that this book is right on time as we get to the end of a decade. And many of us, or some of us, are still fighting, still going through the process of becoming free. And I just want you to understand, and I want us to accept that if these brothers and sisters, and we only read about 2 of them so far, could do this back in the 1850s, if they can go through what they've been through, experience all of the things that they have experienced, get free, and then become millionaires, well, if they can do it, you can do it. This is the reason why I like to read books like this, to really understand our history, what we've gone through, what we've overcome as a people, and how we came out smelling like roses, many of us. Some died, yes, but some was flying like eagles. And I venture to say that they were willing to die so that they could fly. Yeah, I might want to write that one down and repeat that again. They were willing to die for a chance, an opportunity, a moment in time where they could fly. Whether that be fly here on the earth or fly in the heavens after life. Either way, they were willing to die. And Mary Ellen Pleasant picked up the gun. She was going to the militia. She was already rich. She said, I'm still willing to die for the chance for my people to be free. Robert Reed Church, dealing with his father on the boat, said, I'm jumping, I'm fleeing, I'm running. Willing to die in the Mississippi River, willing to die during a war for a chance to fly. And now Robert dares to think at this moment that he is free. This is the New Black Wall Street Book Club, where Black folk do read. You put it in a book like Black Fortunes by Mr. Shomari Wills. You put it in a book like Daily Motivations for African American Success by Mr. Dennis P. Kimbro, and we absolutely will find it. I'm your host, ERGJ, and we invite you to join the Black Billionaires Club. Yes, it's a book that I wrote, but it's also a club that I run. And this club is for people, special people, who are serious about winning with money and serious about having success. And matter of fact, we're so serious that we said, hey, we're going to be in the next book, Black Fortunes, Volume 2. Well, if you want to roll with people like that, get your personal development to help you be the best version of you that you can be. Get your business development, help you start that business or expand what you currently do. Learn about money, financial education, or learn how to make your money work harder for you than you work for it. This Warren Buffett said, if you don't learn how to make money while you're asleep, you'll be working till you die. And I'm trying to tell you that we don't have to choose that life. I ain't about that working till I die life. I'm about retiring, doing what I want to do, when I want to do it, because I can afford to do it. Well, go ahead and check out the website, theblackbillionairesclub.com. Click on the tab, join the club. Read all you need to get the information that you need to make a decision, a financial decision that could change your life forever. Well, my beautiful people, I want to say thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode. And I want you to remember this, that it takes a village. It starts with us. Let's build as we climb together. We all we got, people. Matter of fact, we all we need. And thank God, that's more than enough. Until next episode, you know what time it is. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
It's the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Wall Street. With your host, Evan Jefferson. It's time for us to go. Yeah. Now, you ain't got to leave the computer, but we encourage you to get out there and learn and apply all the things you learn at the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Yeah. The New Black Wall Street.